Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Recruiting Every Second. My name is Blaine Gilmer, hosting here on the Rivals YouTube channel, and so excited to be bringing you another episode of Recruiting Every Second here on the Rivals YouTube page, and the show that covers everything and all things SEC football recruiting related. We are proud to be a member of the Believe podcast network as well. And I have a very special guest, someone that is intricately involved right now in SEC football recruiting, not only because of his past and in the game himself as a former Georgia Bulldog running back and also Pittsburgh Steelers running back, but now he is the father of the number one ranked running back in the class of 2023. That would be Mr. Verron Haynes, father of Justice Haynes. Verron, how are you doing, sir?
I'm well. I don't know how intricate I am involved in the process, but thanks for that shout out. I appreciate that. You give me more than my son gives me.
Absolutely. Hey, you got to show love to dad. I mean,
Right.
He had to survive those first 16 years of life somehow, right? I mean, you're the guy keep doing that, keeping him. I know with my youngest, Verron, I'm wondering if he's just gonna make it to the next day. That kid's crazy. I'm telling you.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. Sometimes I think if I want him to go right, I got to tell him to go left.
Absolutely.
That's how it works, man. Fatherhood 101.
Verron, I'm so excited to have you on here tonight to talk about, give people some insight in recruitment. The goal of Recruiting Every Second here is to educate people on, okay, what is recruiting really like and how does this go down and what's it like for some of these top end prospects such as your son. And you can kind of start off by telling us it's pretty demanding. What was this summer like for Justice and your family?
I think you nailed it on the head. It was very demanding, man. You got to understand, he plays baseball too. So keep in mind that he would do baseball workouts, football workouts, and also do recruiting. So he would have games and then such forth. But, we had a schedule that was pretty hectic this summer. But I think now that stuff is starting to open back up, you'll see it'll digress, it'll chill out a little bit more. So hopefully, I say that with an asterisk, because September 1, as you well know, then they can start calling. Oh, yeah. Right now, he has to call them, or the coach has to go through our coach, right? We can't have a contact yet. So, but come September 1, that's out the door. The governor's off.
Absolutely. He's right now kind of controlling the tempo, so to speak, of this recruitment. He gets to pick when he gets to call him, but you may have to take that phone away here before too long, because that thing's going to be radioactive hot.
Here's the thing. You made a good point. This is part of the recruitment process that I have taken from others. One thing that we're going to implement is that we're going to have, he gets out of practice at 6:30, 6 o'clock. So from 6 o'clock till 9:30, it's free game. You can talk, you can call, but after 9:30, I'm going to ask that they respectfully cut the contact off, because he's a student athlete and he has taken a lot of AP classes and stuff like that. So, and Justice is well versed in making himself relatively available from there. I have to interject and say, hey, there's a line right here.
Absolutely. And here on Recruiting Every Second with Verron Haynes. And Verron, I've left the N out of your name on that thing. Man, I'm trying to write this production so hard here, and I've left the N off. Make sure you put an N in. I put
Haynes. No, I appreciate it. Hey, man, you know, I'm a has-been, so.
I'm trying to make this stuff all
Look at you.
professional.
You cut me off all the way.
Absolutely. But listen, Verron, in terms of SEC recruiting specifically, there's 3 programs that are kind of still in the mix for your son when it comes to his kind of top 7 of schools, the schools that he made a point to go visit this summer. That would be Georgia, of course, your alma mater, Alabama, and LSU. The 3 preeminent powers in the SEC over the last half decade to decade. Those schools are the very top, not only the SEC, but of the country. They kind of have been the straw that stirs the drink, so to speak, for college football. So
yes,
I want you to give everybody a little bit of insight, and we'll start with the defending national champions first, the Alabama Crimson Tide. When you take your son, you've seen grow up and play pee-wee ball and all that kind of stuff, everybody else, it kind of from the outside views him as a prospect, but you see, here's your little boy, he's growing into a man, and he gets to go sit across from the greatest football coach of all time and Nick Saban. What is that experience like? And talk to us about Alabama as a whole.
Man, it's surreal, B. And I think you hit it in the head. These are premier universities. I mean, they are top notch. They can go in, pick up the phone and call any recruit in the nation, and arguably the best at doing so. So when you get a call from the old Gipper, they call him the GOAT, Nick Saban. It was kind of surreal, man. You know, he knows X's and O's better than most. You sit down there, you're kind of enamored and blown away by all the trophies and the rings and all that. But you know, when you after all that mystique is gone away, talk X and O's with him, and you understand that he's on a different level of just his knowledge and his love and passion for it. And that comes out and resonates in his speech when he's talking. You know, he's strictly about hard work, and you know, you come here and you're gonna work hard, one, or else it's not a good fit, right? And it's like, yes, sir, right? That's the old Gipper. And you know, he's a big benefactor of what you do from Monday through Thursday will allow you to get on the field. And his big niche in doing that is he gives Jalen Hurts stats. Like, I think it was like, I don't know, 26-2, some ridiculous number. And then he goes, he wasn't the starter the next year. So you know he means business, and he's a man of his word when he says that. If you produce on the field in practice, you play.
Yeah, so
no holds barred.
So when you're talking about Alabama, it seems to be more of a business, more of a you know, this is how we go about being the best.
It's a well-oiled machine.
Well-oiled machine.
And the head conductor runs his ship and the train as such.
No doubt. Now with Georgia, let's kind of just go shift gears and go to Georgia. I've heard a lot of people, not just Justice has told me that in conversations with him, but a lot of recruits have said Alabama is just like it really seems just like that, a business, a well-oiled machine, something that is kind of a factory of building NFL talent, national championships, things like that. And then Georgia, he goes there. They've obviously got elite talent and have had a lot of success as well. But he also, Justice and many other prospects talk about how it's much more of a family-like feel and environment. The coaches are just so welcoming, the recruiting staff, a lot of that kind of stuff. Tell what's maybe the differences that you see between a Georgia program and an Alabama program in terms of from a parent's perspective and being on those visits.
So what I got out of it is that, you know, it's nurturing at Georgia, where Nick is not going to nurture you. He's not going to, you're going to know very straightforward and right up front where you stand in a short period of time, and he's not going to allow you that, where you go and you might have that red shirt year and kind of figure it out. Not at Alabama, but at Georgia, they're going to allow you to grow into yourself, come into your own. If you are ready to play, you will. But you're going to have that time because we have other guys there that are going to get you well groomed and get you a chance to learn the playbook and catch up. Whereas I feel in Alabama, you have to have a good football IQ to go there up front.
Yeah. Justice, in terms of Georgia, before we switch to LSU, I know he gets a lot of outside pressure and people like that talking because you, as written down at the bottom of the screen, hobnail boot, P44 Haynes. I mean, the famous play there in Neyland Stadium, and you being a former Georgia Bulldog yourself. But I see all the time on social media, you're reiterating to people, this is his race to run. He's kind of in control of his own destiny here. How does that play into, does that weigh on him sometimes in his mindset? You think of, okay, dad was a Georgia Bulldog. I'm being really recruited. I'm a guy from the state of Georgia. How does that kind of weigh into his mindset, you think?
No, I think Justice and I have a really, really great relationship. And, the one thing that I never want to do is have somebody go and say, I did it for you. No, this is your path. He works hard on his own. He puts in the time and he grinds. I mean, the kid has a schedule that's like really hectic. And I give him so much kudos. So I want it to be about him. I had my time. I know what it's like to get people tell you that your poop don't stink and all that stuff. I had that. Now it's his time, and I want him to enjoy that process because it only happens once, right? So, I want this to be what he wants to do. So when he looks back and said, "I did it my way," he really got a chance to say to live that life and do it his way.
No doubt.
So I don't put any pressure on him to feel like he has to go to Georgia. And I made that really abundantly clear to Kirby as well. I said, you're not recruiting me. And from there, again, Kirby he knows this as well. He's a coach's son, so he knows. He's been in the game for a minute, and then he adjusts. He comes off of me and says, well, that introduction and catching up was short-lived. Now, Justice, right? He switches. We're sitting down there, and it's all straight line and beeline to Justice. And that's what it's supposed to be, man. I had my time in the sun. Now it's his.
No, that's a great perspective to have, especially from a father. And we want to, also touch on LSU, with LSU being just 2 years removed from a national championship. Definitely a high-powered offense there under Ed Orgeron since he's taken the helm. What has Justice's experience been with the Tigers so far?
Dude, he loves LSU because I'll tell you a funny story. We're there and you walk into coach's office and he has a weight set. And he's intense, man. This guy is running in the middle of the day. We're getting a tour and everything going on, and then we get to the stadium part. It's probably about 1:30, and you look up in the stadium. There's one guy running in the stadiums with his shirt off, and he really lives it, right? So what you see is really what you get. And then the next part of that is Kevin Falk, who was an intricate part of the development there of the running backs. And I played against Kevin when he was at the Patriots and I was at the Steelers. He was the number one running back, third down running back. I was the number two. I'm not shabby about letting him know I wanted to beat his high tail every time I played against him, just for that factor. But he develops guys really well. He has a really unique part in his development and his growth in running backs. And you can see that at the next level when they get there. They're well groomed and they know what they're doing.
When you have LSU and Alabama and Georgia and the crazy facilities that they have, all the support they have for their student athletes. There's also 4 other schools outside when it comes to, Clemson, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Michigan, maybe even Stanford as well.
Yep.
That at certain points, maybe 5 schools that are all vying for justice as well. Of those schools that are outside the SEC, which one do you think would you say operates the most like an SEC program, where football seems as serious and as a much of a priority as
I would have
those?
to say Ohio State, man.
Yeah.
Like they are now going into people's backyards and kind of stealing them away. You don't see too many teams outside the SEC doing that. Notre Dame is pretty close too. I saw that they got a really solid recruiting class, and they've been making some headway here. So it's impressive to see, man. Like right now, it's like a free agent market, right? And it's really no dynasties anymore. It really shakes things up when you could go into somebody's backyard and take the number one prospect right out from underneath them. You didn't see that back in the days as much. Now you're seeing it left and right, and it makes for some good fun recruiting.
And you used the word steal when it comes to Ohio State. Kind of a pun there, but you talk about steal.
Hey, I don't know. Hey, no pun intended. Okay.
Hey, Steele Chambers, a former teammate of Justice Haynes at Blessed Trinity, was he plays defense up there for Ohio State, but was a great running back, just like Justice at Blessed Trinity. Does that factor in at all with Justice? Is he getting the recruiting pitch from his buddy Steele?
Yeah, so I'll tell you this. When we went up there, Tony did a good job, Alfred. He's a big proponent of having his guys come, and you're not going to get it from him, right? You're gonna hear his pitch, but why don't you sit down and ask these guys? So as we were there, Steele came into a couple of the meetings, and then he had a couple of other guys that we saw in the hallway, and and you could tell it wasn't just for show. Like, ask him, how do I coach, and how many times are they over at my house eating dinner? And it's a real love affair up there, and he really genuinely cares for the guys.
100%. Now, we would be remiss if we didn't. We've talked about Justice's recruitment. I know he's got a ways to go. He wants to see some more stuff this fall, and we certainly appreciate it. But let's just look at some of the stuff that's happened here recently. When we talk about the Rivals rankings, I'm going to go ahead and throw this on the screen. Look at Justice right here. 17th overall. It has jumped up 61 spots. Justice Haynes.
Powerful. That's big.
So he was a participant at the Rivals 5-star challenge, walked away with the offensive MVP, running back MVP. Justice Haynes has had a tremendous summer. What was the reaction in the Haynes household when they saw Justice jump up and become the number 1 ranked running back on the Rivals rankings for the class of 2023?
First of all, this is a tough class, right? So you have some really, really good guys at running back level. One in particular that I really like is the black unicorn over there in Texas.
Ruben Owens.
Yeah. He's impressive to watch, but I can't speak enough for how thankful I am that, how he's, because I see it. I see the day in and day out, that what he puts into it. And you and I talked off the air about, at 12 years old, when I went to him and I told him, I'm not going to make him do anything anymore. You have to come to me and ask me. It's got to be your why, not mine. And, he found that. And he's been putting in all the hard work and the dedication, and, the fruits of the labor is showing right now. So I couldn't be more ecstatic for the kid.
No doubt. It's a great deal when it comes to Justice, and kind of seeing how the work ethics, just paying dividends here. Now the number 1 ranked running back in the class of 2023. And Verron, if we would be remiss if we didn't get some of your SEC analysis hat here before we let you go. We've talked recruiting, talked justice. I know this is recruiting every second, but one of the biggest things when it comes to recruiting is momentum in programs, and how people are playing and offense is playing out. Do you feel that the programs that are involved in Justice's recruitment, how closely do you think he's going to be watching some of these matchups between these teams and how they're utilizing their running backs and in the passing game? What's their running game kind of look like? How much is he going to be a analyst this season, you think?
He's always been a student of the game, so that's not going to change. Honestly, I had to pick his brains before I went on to your show last year on who guys were.
Yeah. Oh, we're losing you there a little bit, Verron. You there? Looks like we might have lost Verron for a second. So
can you?
Yeah, it's having a little internet problem there, Verron.
Sorry about that. Question is, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay, so understands football, and that's always been his.
Yeah, Verron, we lost you there for a second, man. So I'm gonna have to let you go on that one. In terms of you had an internet issue, maybe we can log you back in. I'm gonna kick you out and you can log back in there, Verron. But that's great insight from Verron Haynes, the father of Justice Haynes, former Georgia running back and Pittsburgh Steelers running back himself. Justice now the #1 running back in the class of 2023. And, it's going to be a close race between LSU, Alabama, Georgia, and then, of course, Ohio State, Notre Dame. A lot of schools, even a Clemson, trying to vie in there and be a top choice, the top choice for Justice Haynes. A lot of people speculating maybe that, the alma mater of his father there, Verron, the University of Georgia, would have some momentum in this recruitment, but that's not necessarily the case. Justice is going to make his own decisions and going forward, going to be in control of his own destiny here. And finally, wrapping up, I do want to talk about some of the other guys in the class of 2023, whether the Rivals top 250 is rolling out for that class. Arch Manning, #1 overall, Arch was able to see his uncle Peyton Manning go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame the other night, and you could really see, it seemed like that you could see the gravity of the moment weighing in on Arch Manning. He's seeing kind of the greatness that runs through his family, and that's not something that every 16-year-old gets to see. And then you combine that with the circumstances of him being the #1 player in the country in the class of 2023, and it's just a unique experience. And someone that, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Texas now coming into the SEC, Ole Miss, all are going to be involved, Alabama as well. So SEC is going to be all over the recruitment of Arch Manning going forward. And do want to announce that Georgia, another SEC school, has a big commitment date coming up. They're in the top 3 for Travis, top 4 with Travis Shaw, who also has North Carolina and Clemson and North Carolina A&T in his top 4. Georgia, the only SEC school vying for Travis Shaw right now. I think Georgia's got a little bit of an uphill battle in that, but he's going to be committed on August 21st. So we will see what happens there. Sorry, we lost the connection with Verron Haynes there, but great to get the insight. And thank you for joining us here on Recruiting Every Second on the Rivals YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe if you don't already. Turn on notifications. Share this show with your friends if you enjoyed it. And we'll catch you next time on Recruiting Every Second.